Speaking of sidewalks, you were doing the sidewalks out by the park.
Yes,
That project
that's a project that we've wanted to do for a long time, and we just made up our minds to do it. We now have sidewalks going from the new baseball fields over to the Joe Bell field and the Gorley field. That sidewalk ties in with the walking track. And then something people have wanted for a long, long time, and I think it'll help with the parking issue at the park. We get lots of complaints. People don't like parking down at the lower baseball field at the huge parking lot because they feel like it's so far away. However, with a new sidewalk from that parking lot up between Gorley Field and Joe Bell Field, we have a lot more access, especially for handicap. And that was one thing we were thinking about. So we continue to make improvements at the park, and one thing I hope everybody realizes is that the park is always a long-term project. We do a little bit here and a little bit there, and 15, 20 years from now, when our children are grown and our grandchildren are out, then that park will be just a wonderful place just to go, as it is now. But we can continue to upgrade and make our park just a beautiful place to go, and for all of our residents to go and walk and feel safe and enjoy themselves.
Very nice outdoor space. Speaking of out there, you also have the aquatic center, and the pool is having some work done as well, correct?
We right now are taking bids on replacing the what most people would call the heating and air conditioning system. Not heating and air conditioning, but how the system takes care of all the moisture in the air, how it warms the water, and then keeps an ambient temperature inside the facility. The cost of that is going to be very expensive, and we've taken bids on that, and I know it's a very expensive thing, and people wonder, well, why are we having to do that? Should we have done this or that? But the lifespan of that system was only 14 to 16 years. It's been 19 years since the pool was built, and in 19 years we can expect to replace roofs, to replace air conditioning, so it's time to do that out there. And if we don't do it, we will keep nickel and diming ourselves on repairs, and then at the end of the day we're still going to have to replace the whole system sooner or later. So it's going to be a very expensive project, but we'll figure out a way to do it.
Okay. Now, also, as we mentioned, you have a meeting coming up this evening on the 11th. There's some items on the agenda that we want to touch upon for people. One is you do have 2 new appointments that you're hoping to confirm for the Tourist and Convention Commission.
Right. We've had 2 vacancies there for quite a while, and in working with the Hotel and Motel Association, they submitted a list of 6 names, and in consultation with a lot of other people, the names of Lisa Williams and James Spraggins will be presented to the City Council tonight. Okay. And that'll complete that board so that they can go on about their business.
Right. Bring it up to, is it 7 then?
Yeah, it'll be 7.
Right. Okay. Also, you had the first reading of an ordinance. The ordinance is amending an ordinance regulating the use of firearms and slingshots within the incorporated limits of the City of Lebanon. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah. Every now and then, we will get notified by some organization or group that one of our ordinances is out of line with state or national laws. About a month ago, I got an email from a gentleman who represented, and I can't remember the name of the group, telling us that we had some restrictive language in our ordinance with regard to carrying weapons in the community, and that it didn't match what the state law said, and of course we have to conform to whatever they do. Mm-hmm. And in that language there was some old language about slingshots in the community. I guess back before BB guns and 22s and whatever, people, you know I had 2 or 3 slingshots and was quite dangerous with them. So anyway, that just happens to fall in under that. The larger change dealt with carrying firearms and discharging firearms within the city. And so that's one of those ordinances that have been sitting there for years and years and years. Somebody was looking at our ordinances, and they sent us an email saying we weren't conforming with what the state law said. So our city attorney, Ms. Candace Ingle Gray, reviewed it and rewrote the language. And so the city council will be presented that tonight and get rid of this terrible slingshot problem we have in the community. And I am joking.
Yeah. Very good. Now, also, we had Halloween in the park recently on the Halloween, and there was a prediction of some bad weather. Fortunately, that severe weather didn't really materialize. But some cities were changing around, but the city actually had it at the park in the batting cages out there.
The safety of our children obviously is important to everybody, and I would hope that everybody would realize that the city council and myself consider the safety of our children a paramount importance. I called several cities. Campbellsville canceled theirs. Greensburg did not. And so it was like that all over the central area of Kentucky. We started, I think Halloween was on Thursday.
Right.
We started on Tuesday, monitoring the weather every few hours. We kept in touch here at City Hall. We kept in touch with the fire and police, and we kept monitoring that. Actually, on Thursday morning, it seemed like the weather was going to get better. They predicted that the bad weather would not come in till after 8 o'clock, after 8:30, somewhere in that time frame. And by then our Halloween should be over. And the city changed its plans, and we moved Halloween into the park, Halloween in the park to Halloween in the baseball batting facility. Yeah. Very safe structure. And if there had been other information, we could have called Halloween in the city off. But I want to make sure that everybody understands something. The city only sets the date for Halloween. We don't control who goes or anything else. And if a parent thinks that it's too bad outside, then they shouldn't do it. And we as city leaders have to monitor the situation. And on Friday night, there was a football game. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any guarantee that the weather was, I don't think there was any rain called for, but the winds were, I think, all day on Saturday. And so we used our best judgment, recognizing that we had a facility that the children could go to. And it wasn't a popular decision with the 8 or 9 people that called me. But I feel like we did the right thing, and I still feel like we did. You know, the weather has been much worse when we've had a Halloween. Pouring down rain, a lot of winds. So we made our best judgment, and at the same time we based that judgment on monitoring what everybody else was doing and keeping close tabs on the weather. And if by 1 o'clock on Friday, if the weather was predicted to be worse, then we would have called it off. But as of 1 o'clock, the weather forecast it was all going to be delayed till later that night. Mm-hmm. So that's what we made our decision on.
And it went off pretty well in the new facility.
We had huge numbers out at the park. I don't know what the numbers were for the rest of the city. I wasn't out, but We had huge numbers down at the park. Matter of fact, ran out of candy.
So they came in there to the batting cages and got some candy. And then they can go back to the batting cages to work that candy off.
Yeah.
So, again, I've been talking with Lebanon Mayor Gary Crenshaw about what's going on in the city of Lebanon. And there will be some smoke testing with the sewer lines going on in November and December in the city. And if you see that smoke, it's not a fire hazard for you, and it's not dangerous to you. But if you do have respiratory problems or immobile, please contact City Hall or the police department at 270-692-6272 or 692-2121. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure as always. Thank you very much.
All right, it's been Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.